Hey YouTube, thanks for clicking. Like George R. Martin, this series of tutorials covering recreating all the planets in the solar system using After Effects is expanding as we reach Planet 3, Earth. If you've watched the Adding a Storm to Earth tutorial, then you'll know that for Earth, I'm using Video Copilot's Orb, and that if I'm using Orb, there is zero point in making a tutorial showing how to make an Earth, as Andrew Kramer, incredibly generous soul that he is, has already made the definitive tutorial for Earth. So much so that I'm going to piggyback on his guide and pick up right where he ends. If you haven't watched his tutorial, head over to Video Copilot and check out Ultra Earth 3D. I'll be right here when you're done. Are you back? I assumed you paused this one at least first. Okay, so one last thing to say. If for whatever reason you can't use Video Copilot's free Orb plugin, then check out my Makin Mercury tutorial, which uses CC Sphere to achieve almost as good a result. There are a couple of overlaps with this video, as it uses a similar principle. Okay, so assuming you have an Earth in After Effects, next we need to know its position in 3D space. I'm going to create a null layer by going to Layer, New, Null Object. Hit Enter on the keyboard and name it Earth Null. This is a layer that has no size or visibility, so it's great to parent things to, which is what we're going to do now. Make the layer 3D, make the layer 3D, now tap P on your keyboard to expose the position keyframes. In the comp panel, twirl down the layer settings for the layer Orb Planet. In fact, for the moment, let's turn off the other Orb layers. Using Orb's position pick whip, link it to the Earth Null's position. And now let's do the same for the rotation controls. Select the Earth Null layer and tap R. Link these Y rotation controls to the Null Object Y rotation values. So now we can move the Earth if we need to and keyframe rotation all from the Null Object. But we can also add other elements to this Null Object. So let's create another Null, Layer, New, Null Object, hit Enter and name it Rotation West. Make it a 3D layer and parent it to Earth Null. Duplicate this layer, which you can do by going to Edit, Duplicate, or by holding down Ctrl and tapping D. Hit Enter and rename this new layer Rotation North. Parent this to Rotation West. Duplicate this layer again, hit Enter and rename it Location, and change its parent to Rotation North. Tap P to expose its position keyframes. If we jump back to the Orb layer for a moment and take a look at the radius, we can see that it's set to 200. On our location null, change the Z position to -200. This brings the layer in front of the center of the planet by 200 pixels, which matches the radius of the planet. Now let's add a feature to make it easier to enter coordinates. Making sure location null is selected, go to Effect, Expression Controls, Point Control. Expand the effect options in the timeline. Now select both Rotation West and Rotation North and hit R. On Rotation North's X rotation, use the pick whip to link it to the first coordinate in the point controls. Twirl down the X expression and at the end of the expression add in times -1. That will convert the values for measurements above the horizon. Now on Rotation West's Y rotation, pick whip to the second point. A quick Google search for London's coordinates reveals it to be 51.5 degrees north by 0.12 degrees west. If I add these values to the point control, then my location null lines up with London. This should work for other cities. New York is 40.7 degrees north by 74 degrees west. and using the Earth's null to turn the planet around, and yup, that seems pretty close. So now I have a locator, I need to put down a pin. Making sure the location null is selected, hold down Ctrl and tap D to make a duplicate. Tap Enter and rename the layer New York Null, and change the parent to Earth Null. Now I can use my locator for other cities and my New York pin will stay where it is, even if I rotate the planet. So the next bit is easy, that's just adding some labels. Using the text tool, type New York. Make it a 3D layer. Parent it to New York Null and hit P to reveal the relative position. Set everything to 0. Twirl down the layer settings and open the material options and turn off Accept Lights. Expand the transform tools and make sure everything is set in rotation to 0. Then go to Layer, Transform, Auto Orient and choose Orient towards Camera. Change the type size or scale to your satisfaction, then open up the position keyframes for this text layer. In this video I've right aligned my text so the anchor point is on the right. Using the Z position, lift the layer off the surface by about -30 pixels. And that's the trick. Everything else is now up to you. To add a map marker, I created a new square solid, which is layer, new solid, and set the height and width to 200 pixels. I then clicked and held on the mask tool to switch it to an ellipse mask, and then double click to add a circle to the solid. Edge to edge. I duplicated this mask, Ctrl D, and expanded the second mask's options. I set it to subtract and reduced the expansion to -20. I duplicated mask 2, changed the mode to add, and reduced the expansion to -50, and duplicated it one more time, switched it back to subtract, and this time dropped the expansion again to -70. I could go on like this, or I could add different mask shapes, or the radio waves effect, but this is really up to you. But now I'll make this target layer a 3D layer. Turn off its Accept Lights option in Materials, and then parent it to New York Null. Open up Position and set everything to 0, open up Rotation and do the same. Finally Scale, to reduce it down to the right size. I could add a frame for my text layer in a similar way, using rectangular masks and parenting a solid to the text layer instead of the city layer. But to add a line linking the label to the location is something different. To do that, we're going to use the beam effect. Create a new solid, layer, new solid. Make sure it matches the comp size, and it's probably better if it's black. Name it New York Beam, just in case we're adding more labels. Making sure the layer is selected, go to Effect, Generate Beam. Expand the layer and the effect in the comp panel. Alt-click on the starting point stopwatch and type the following: L equals. Then we'll use the pick whip to select the New York type layer. Add a semicolon, then tap Enter for a new line and type L.toComp brackets L.anchorpoint close brackets semicolon. This expression sort of converts the 3D coordinates of our type layer into 2D coordinates for the beam layer. And now let's repeat those steps for the New York Null layer and the endpoint. Alt click and then L equals, then pick whip to the New York Null and then a semicolon, and finally L.toComp l.anchorpoint. Now to the effects settings, increase the length to 100%. Obviously you can change the colours, and you could always use the text layer's anchor values to move the text slightly away from the tip of the beam, but there you go. Now, what I haven't covered in this tutorial is the idea of locations disappearing behind the globe. It's possible to use luma masks, but it's probably easier just to keyframe it, to be honest. And of course what this tutorial is really about is having the ability to identify locations on your planet, where you could add anything from meteor strikes to lasers to rocket launchers, just by using that network of null objects. Hope you found this useful, and if you did, please share across all your social media. I'm not in this for the view count, but it's still nice to have recognition. Let me know in the comments if you've used it, and subscribe for alerts for when more videos are released. There's 2 more videos in the Earth mini-series, adding a storm and adding auroras. And after that we'll be tackling Mars. Thanks for watching.